Hello and welcome to the interview. I'm speaking with Shafeek from the SLMC, candidate under the UNF for the upcoming parliamentary general elections. Welcome to the program. Perhaps a good start as any is to understand why a businessman such as yourself, we were talking before the program started, you said Rajaddin and Sons is a household name. Why does someone like yourself enter mainstream party politics?
I was invited by Honorable M.H.M. Ashraf at the time that he was forming the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress in the East. And at that time I felt there is some dimension of the Muslim community in Colombo needs some attention. And we thought the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress was the party formed in the East because of the LTT and the problem of the minorities there.
Right.
The only reason I entered Colombo because there's a big void, because most members of especially the Muslim leaders who entered the fray through the UNP and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party has not done enough service to the people who are living. We got 160,000 families in the district of Colombo. 80% of them live in the garden tenements who are poorest of poor people. So there must be some service to be done to them.
In a sense, the SLMC is now part of coalitions now, twice, once for the presidential election and again this year for the parliamentary. Can it not stand as an independent party? Do you feel that a coalition is necessary in order to get the votes?
Coalition is necessary major political parties because of the preferential system here. SLMC can never form governments. SLMC is a representative of the Muslim community in the East. And we have outside the East, in the areas of Wani district, in the areas of Kurunegala, Gampa, Kalutara, Colombo, other areas the representations are there in smaller numbers. So what we do is we merge with the UNP in the Eastern province so that we can get a better majority. And those people we represent in Colombo and other suburbs, we have a stakeholdership of the community members. And with us, it will be an advantage for the major political party like the UNP.
Shafeek, the reason I ask this is coalition politics is dicey, isn't it? At the end of the day, those who perhaps voted for the coalition or the presidential election, do you feel that there's a compelling reason now to vote for the UNF and not the DNA?
My thing is, when immediately after the war, the government of Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa, the president of this country, had gone a long way on the wrong tracks, and after the war, he was selling the war to the people, and periodical elections were held, which virtually bankrupt political parties. And there came a time that he really bankrupted the entire political system. He broke up all the political parties into pieces. And he was on the very top form, and we did not have a candidate to challenge him. Therefore, we found a common candidate like General Sarath Fonseca, and that was the only way that we could have brought him to equal standards so that we can fight.
Which leads to my question, do you feel that the voters who voted then for that coalition will now vote for the UNF? And,
definitely.
Why?
The UNF is a major political party, and it has a 4.7 million vote base in this country.
But it doesn't have that candidate you were speaking of.
It had. Now what we want to say is, a person like General Fonseca doesn't have a political background. He's a general who won the war for the country, and he's been backed by a political party now. But he was a member brought into the fray with no political affiliation. But he was a common candidate, and we have our own principles and ethics, and we worked with. The JVP has its own ethics, the UNP has its ethics, and also the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress. We have all come together so that we promote this candidate, and after that election, if General Fonseca was the president, we will have to go our own way to have our representation. So now we find that we have our representation. We have our members to be elected to parliament, and maybe if we can all come together once again to form governments, we are in a vision. We are thinking that we can do that.
I mean, I want to also go, perhaps more generally, off camera we were talking about the nature of the constitution of parliament and its constituent members. You were lamenting the fact that those elected to to govern Sri Lanka once they are elected and in Parliament don't use that institution to its full constitutional ability. I mean, how does, and the question I asked then and I'll ask on camera as well, I mean, how does someone like you both survive in such an institution and want to get elected back into it? I mean, and what will you do to change it? I mean, you are part of the system, as it were, at the end of the day.
I was in Parliament only for 2 years. I contested the UNF in the 2004 elections, and I got a 43,800 preferential vote system and returned 10th to the Colombo district. After the demise of Honorable Maheswaran, late Maheswaran, on January 1st when he was assassinated, a man who has come on the democratic process is a Tamil minority, talking in the Sinhala majority area, talking the language of Sinhala and telling the people, was suddenly assassinated. And ever since that, I came in. And in Parliament, I see it's very disappointing to see the proportional representation system has brought in people to Parliament who are being elected as the voice of the people of their areas. I mean, do not deliver their goods. I can see it's a black hole there because it's all personal agendas. And I think the Parliament has to be cleansed. Yeah. Proper people who are addressing the...
But voters elect these people. I mean, how would you go about educating the voter as to how to elect a better representative?
You see, this country is plagued with economic downfall, and people are, you know, very downtrodden, and their perks are very limited. So the members of Parliament who are in positions who make big amounts of money on corruption, they're able to throw the money, throw their wealth around and get these poor people. Today, you give 1,000 rupees, they'll vote you in. And 5 years they will be screaming and say, I voted, what did you get back?
Your politics are different?
My politics are different.
What are your politics?
We are
meaning?
Our party.
Right.
My politics, I have come in a forte, I worked my way as a businessman, and during the height of my business career, as the managing director of my company, the Rajabdeen Group, I was invited to the Lions International, which is a Lions Club in Brigasai, and I served the Lions for well over 30 years, ascending my positions from zone chairman, district chairman, region chairman. I went up to the position of vice district governor candidate. And at that time, the elections for municipality came up. I had to choose
Colombo,
yeah. I have to choose whether I should be a vice governor candidate or a candidate to the municipal. So I said, let me take that. So when I went there, I found the people whom I served in the city through the Lions organization, the less fortunate, in education, in books, in building homes, giving them free health camps. This is the same system that what the government was giving, we were giving to the non-governmental organizations. So as a member elected to the municipality, in the city, I was a chairman of sports and recreation and preschool. I mean, we looked after some over 12,000 to 15,000 school children, preschool children, and I got them teachers in every garden tenements. English was one I introduced. Then the children, the youth of the area are addicted to drugs because of the economic situation. The government may have pushed them into such situation. So we were trying to take them from drug abuse and things like that so that they be...
Now this is all part of your, when you were part of the municipality.
Municipality.
Right.
And we were able to give them the sporting goods so that we take them out from the arena of drugs and abuse. So by which we can guide the poor young fellows into the different path of life.
You're very passionate about education.
Yeah, one of the main forte of in my visionary is education.
Yeah.
When I represent the city of Colombo, most of the votes came from the community, especially the Muslims. As a Muslim Congress member, it is the Muslims who are voting in.
But are the Muslims particularly underprivileged?
They are very much, very much. Most of them are self-employed. Most of them are businessmen. I mean, they are looking for a fast buck, and they are payment hawkers, self-employed, and they are sometimes they might return home with nothing, but one day they might return with a 10,000. But they live like the waves of the sea. But especially where the tenements are concerned, you find in the garden tenements of the city of Colombo, places like Somalia, Henamula Camp, places like Kadiran, places like Dimelwata, places like the Muslims are in great numbers living together in common harmony with the Sinhala and Tamil people.
Yeah.
You see, they have blended each other, but they all live in the lowest of lowest grades. Look at Maligawat. The underworld looks ruling that area because the people are very down, you know.
Do you really believe you can make an impact